We'll see them all again in Rogue 2, right? There is going to be a Rogue 2, right? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. Today, let's look at the new Lightspeed bundles that were released. There's some interesting ones out there for sure. Are they worth our money? I might spend some money on my alts. Let's take a look here. First, let's take a look at my patrons, because they're awesome, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really means the world to me. Thank you so much. It's for real, guys. Thank you so much. And if you want to support this channel for free, please hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Mount the algorithm with me, folks. It's more fun as a group. Probably. I wouldn't know. Or would I? That's for a different channel, perhaps. So, let's get into it. So, first off, we have a $30 Bad Batch bundle, which... this is the one everyone's been calling for, isn't it? This is the one. Like, people have been saying they wanted this for a long time. One thing I didn't put on this slide or this graphic is... they are 4 of them required. I think it's 4 are required for Lord Vader unlock, and they all need to be Relic 5. They all need an obscene amount of Chirotech. So this value is pretty good. In terms of what they can do in the game, that's the probably most disappointing part. Like I mean, people are already arguing that Lord Vader is barely usable in the game himself, and the squad isn't much better. In fact, it's worse. You barely use them for anything anymore. I'm not saying they're devoid of use, and early people who aren't in Kyber are probably going to get some decent use out of them anyways. You can plug and play with Echo a little bit here and there. The rest of the squad, they're just so specifically synergistic with each other that... whereas the squad does some cool stuff, it's just kind of been outdated, unfortunately. I've always liked this squad a lot. There are a lot of cool options. It's a fairly complex squad. There's a high skill cap to it, though if you learn like kind of the formula for how to use them, they can still do pretty good for you. Against some teams, it's just in GAC, Territory Wars. Even Rise of the Empire, that they're just not doing that well. Rise of the Empire, if you get them to Relic 7, they can do a lot of those Zepho missions pretty well. I'd say the biggest value here, folks, by far, well, the 2 biggest things. Number 1, in my mind, is they pilot one of the best ships in the game, the Marauder, and it has such a high damage on its basic attack that everyone was convinced that when it was released, it was bugged, because it couldn't possibly do that much damage. And but they never fixed it. It's never been acknowledged that it was a bug. So I mean, we have to assume at this point it's been out for a long time. It's probably actually supposed to be as strong as it is. And the fleet is still pretty strong. This is the one I would probably consider most for my alt account, because not that I wanted to unlock Lord Vader on that account, really, that's not really a huge priority. I really care about having a fleet that is worth half a dam, and this one would get me all the way up to like 3/4 of a dam. So even better. This is a pretty good bundle just for that. Plus, you get Omega, who it's also looking like Omega might possibly be the best 5th member of the new Bad Batch. I don't know for sure yet, but a lot of people have been saying that lately, and maybe that's true. So you get Omega, and she's not even a requirement character. She's one of those characters that you'd have to farm and work on your own for no other benefit other than her going on a team that kind of sucks. The other really good benefit to this team that I kind of alluded to is if you're looking to unlock Lord Vader, he isn't as devoid of use as people seem to think he is. He's not Lord Failure. He is a little bit like Lord Underachiever, though, unfortunately lately. he's not a priority character to work on, but this gets you 4 of his requirement characters just totally knocked out, which there is some value to that. So I would say this one is probably my favorite out of all of the new Lightspeed bundles. Not that it's amazing for 30 bucks. I mean, granted, all of these for the dollars that you spend are much better deals than if you're going to just gear these characters and farm them on their own, with like trying to buy like crystals to do it. Obviously it's way more efficient, but yeah, that's a pretty good pack. So there's a couple Rogue One packs. It's kind of weird, like that. I don't really understand what they're doing sometimes, guys. Sometimes they'll give us a Lightspeed bundle that has like 20 characters that are kind of old and out of date. And I mean, maybe not 20, but it'll give you a whole lot of them. And it'll be like $10 for all these kind of garbage characters, but they're all relicked. And you're like, oh, sure, I'll throw 10 bucks at that just so I don't have to work on those stupid characters. This one, they've split into 2 packs, and it's like 25 bucks for the faction, basically. And the Rogue One faction has a lot more use than a lot of these other niche factions, like Tuscans, for instance, or Jawas, or Old Republic. Like, there's a lot of these weird little side factions that are just not that good. It has good characters in some of them, or whatever. They have niche uses, but Rogue One, a lot of them are pilots for the Profundity fleet. A lot of them are requirement characters for various things, like the Profundity fleet. A lot of them are still pretty good. And this group is no exception, really. Like, if you have an Admiral Radis team up and running, you can do some really cool stuff, especially if you have it modded well. I have a Faction Essentials video on how to do that and stuff, if you want to look that up. But K2SO in this pack is pretty good. POW is really good on a Mon Mothma team. Scarefribble Pathfinder is the guy, he used to at least be the person who required the most Carbanti in the game, which before Kyrotech existed, which this is ancient history, but before Kyrotech existed, Carbanti was by far the biggest bottleneck. So 550 Carbanti was an insane amount for a character who's not even required for a single thing. He's just a pilot, like one of 3 pilots for the Biston ship, or maybe one of 2 pilots. Who even knows or cares? That fleet's not good. The ship is what used to be really good way back in the day before before all the really good Galactic Legend level fleets were out and stuff. But for 10 bucks, this isn't bad. Just keep in mind you're not getting a full team here, folks. You're not getting a full team. You're getting part of a team. And if you're looking for profundity requirements, this does help. It helps in the sense that you get Jin and Cassian. I think the others are not required for unlocking profundity. You get those 2, but also Jin gets enough relic levels for that. Cassian doesn't. He needs another 3 relic levels after this. So for 10 bucks, this isn't bad. It's also just weird. Like, these are all on the edge of not that usable. I mean, I've said it before, I keep saying it. Rogue One has a lot more value than a lot of people think they do, but I feel like if they stop releasing good Empire teams that rely on turn meter gain and all the stuff that they get, this team's usefulness could end a little bit. It's only a couple steps away from being a bad batched, if you will. So the second Lightspeed bundle, which I'm dubbing as Rogue 2. This one has Adrad. Remember though, if you get this, Adrad still needs 4 more relic levels if you're getting the Profundity. Biston can be used on a Mon Mothma team sometimes, depending on who all you have. Baze is probably the secret value to this. Like, Adrad is the big obvious value to this bundle, because you're gonna need him, right? And he's the leader of a pretty good team. What people don't realize is any team with Adrad on it trying to take out like pretty good Empire teams, like you have a good chance anyways. But like trying to take out Inquisition, for instance, if they don't have a great Datacron, you need bays for it to have anything approaching a high win rate. And so like it goes from like a 70% win rate to take out an Inquisition team to somewhere in the 20s without bays. So bays is really good. Sure, it can be good as well. Remember, they're not requirement characters though. Bodhi Rook is the best pilot in the game that doesn't have a ship. Or is that Luke Skywalker? Luke Skywalker is also not a pilot of anything in this game. Isn't that the silliest thing? He can bullseye womp rats that are from his T-16 back home. Like he can pilot like an Imperial shuttle while the Death Star is exploding. He can get up to some nonsense in a ship, but so can Bodhi probably a little bit. Anyways, this pack. It's also funny because I feel like this pack has a little less value, or at least, I mean, it struggles to hold more value than the last pack, but this one costs more. So do what you want, man. This one's fine for 15 bucks. The full faction is 25 bucks. And they're all marginally useful except for Bodhi and, I don't know, Biston. Biston's a requirement character, at least. This pack's fine. It really is. Eventually, they'll release another, like, just totally broken, ridiculously strong Turret-Cron, and we'll all scramble to use that, because we bought the Lightspeed bundle dutifully. The TIE Interceptor one is so disappointing, folks. It just is. This used to be such a promising, amazing ship, and this is a conquest unlock, so there's some value in that, right? Like, you don't want to have to unlock it via conquest, but there's also not much urgency. This is like unlocking Scion of Django in conquest. Like, sure, yeah, hit that sim button every month, but are you gonna refresh for it? Not anymore, at least. This ship was so promising and good because it was part of a Chimera fleet that could counter a lot of meta teams, and ever since they nerfed the Chimera and its interaction with the TIE, or with the Scythe, it's not a TIE at all, but with the Scythe, it's just, it doesn't counter the meta anymore. Now it just counters all the stuff that aren't meta. And that's disappointing, man. Like, Chimera is like the 5th or 6th best capital ship, which is not saying much, folks. And this ship is, sure, it's part of it. And in the context of on a Chimera fleet, sure, it is very strong. But the fleet itself in the greater context of things is not that great. And I also, I mean, if you're spending money on the Inquisition pack, like on the Grand Inquisitor unlock thing, like, you're already buying 5 or Relic 5 for this Inquisition character. Second Sister is not good. She's the worst of the Inquisitors. You don't use her in any context at all, other than potentially unlocking Grand Inquisitor. And as soon as you do that, you scoot her off the team and put Grand Inquisitor on the team. So she's a fairly worthless character on a ship that isn't worthless on its own, but is also just not countering that much. It's not doing that much. And I'm sure people are going to be like, well, I was able to beat this really awesome fleet with you know, Executrix or whatever, and I used the TIE Interceptor. I'm glad for you. I am. That's pretty neat. Continue on. I'm happy for you. Most people don't do that. Finally, we come to this last one. Cup. Obviously, April Fool's joke. It's released on April 2nd, which I assume April 1st is a weekend or something. Not the most worthless character in the game. It's close. The one use I can think of is he is a support character in Galactic Republic. And so Padme can sometimes use her on the Gidme team so that you can get, I mean, he can start one-shotting people. He could be on a team. He and Eth Koth can be on a funny team with Padme and still hold value, like some value, just because he's a Galactic Republic support. I'm not saying he's a world beater. He has a decent kit, all things considered. He just has bad stats and doesn't have a team to go with. Relic 9 on this for $5. It's impossible to find better value in the game. Like any other character to Relic 9, just to instantly Relic 9, even going from Relic 8 to 9, this is a good deal. Cup, this is kind of sad because it does show CG is like, well, we're not going to do anything. I think there's one potential. I wouldn't be like the most shocked ever if he was part of the raid coming up. Whatever the new raid is, I wouldn't be too surprised if he was somehow helpful there, especially if it's an Order 66 raid to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith or whatever. I wouldn't be too surprised to find out he's part of that, or like part of teams that are allowed for that. So I don't know, this might be another one you spend $5 on. If you're used to spending money on this game, $5 is usually not that much. And getting a character that, at the very least, has held value as a meme in the community for years at this point. That might be kind of fun. I don't know. Do what you want, guys. This one, he doesn't hold much actual real value until one day maybe he does. Maybe he gets a kit rework and you're like, dude, I spent $5 for this. This is amazing. So I'm going to call it there, folks. Let me know, what are your thoughts on the Lightspeed bundle? How many meta teams are you countering with the TIE Interceptor and thinking to yourself, man, I need to unsubscribe from Xerath. He adds no value because he doesn't know fleets. Would love to hear from you folks. Respectfully, of course. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xerath prevails. Take care, folks.